This playthrough is rated M for mature.
Greetings, salutation viewers, Vauldemare here with more Hakuōki, Stories of the Shinsengumi for the PS3. Last episode we found out quite a few things. That our father was a demon, he wasn't our father, and they tanked the Wire of Life, and he was just trying to use us to get more powerful, and that Cosma is a nicer demon than we realized, that believes in kind of a sort of honor and pride in his race. And now that we've also learned recently the death of two of our friends, Kondo had been executed for his crimes, and Saito had taken a group of Shinsengumi and fought in a battle and had died in the process. And so many left to go, unfortunately. What sad tales we learned today. Let's continue, folks.
旧幕府軍は仙台に集結し、そこから蝦夷を目指すようです。
The remains of the shogunate armies are gathered in Sendai. From here they mean to travel to Izo. They're going even further north? Kazuma nodded.
この奥羽の遥か北、海の向こうの土地だ。
Yes, Izo is across the sea. Then my journey would take me across the sea to Izo. I turned to Kazuma. I'm going to Izo. I don't want to be any more trouble. Please come with me. Alright, let's find out what she says. And I got a 6, so I don't want any more trouble. But I think I'll have to say goodbye here, Cosmo. His eyes widened slightly with surprise. You've taken care of me, and I appreciate that, but I don't want to be any more trouble to you.
海の向こうだぞ。どうやって行くつもりだ？
Izo is across the sea. How do you plan to get there? I'll figure something out. I knew that the trip would be difficult. That was exactly the reason I didn't feel it was fair to involve him any further. Kazuma stared at me for a moment. His eyes narrowed, and he finally
乗り
sighed.
かかった船だ。ついてこい。
I've already come this far already. Why don't you just come to Izo with me? Kazuma. I tried to tell him that I'd be fine on my own, but it became clear that he would have none of it, and eventually I gave in. I felt bad, but the truth was that he'd been right. I had no idea how to get to Izo on my own. Final chapter. Kazuma's connections in the Satsuma domain eventually brought us to the island of Izo. We were unable to find a boat during the Battle of Hokodate, which forced us to wait, but without Kazuma's help I never would have been able to get across the sea. At last, the war was over. The shattered remnants of the shogunate's army finally surrendered, but the political state of the country remained in flux. Amagiri told us he was worried for Sen's safety and departed for Kyoto as the war ground to a close. A samurai in Japanese clothing would draw the suspicious eye of the Imperial Army in Hokodate, so Kazuma gave me Western clothing to wear. Even in August, the sunlight in Ezo felt gentle, and the summer breeze was refreshingly cool against my cheek. This is Goryokaku? Goryokaku, a star-shaped fortress built in Hokodate. It made use of European-style fortifications and served as the chief fortress of the Republic of Izo. It might be Ezo, but yeah. Kazuma nodded.
ここで全てが終わった。
This is where it all ended.
昨年末に奴らが蝦夷に来た時は約3000人。だが開戦の時は約2000人だった。
When they came to Izo at the end of last year, they had only 3,000 men. When the battle for the fortress began, they had only 2,000. I couldn't bear to ask what had happened to the missing 1,000.
それに対し新政府軍は約5万人を投入した。勝負は最初から決まっていた。
The Imperial forces sent here to defeat them numbered 50,000. The battle was over before it began. After arriving at Hokodate, Kazuma had put together a detailed description of the last days of the Shinsengumi. Hokodate, a port city in southern Izo that was open to other nations as a result of the Convention of Kanagawa, which established trade between the United States and Bakumatsu period Japan. May 9th, the Imperial Army landed at Izo. June 20th, the Imperial Army began a full-scale attack. June 23rd, the Shogunate Army surrendered at Benten Fortress. Benton Fortress, a marine fortress guarded by Hakuōki in the Republic, or guarding Hakuōki in the Republic of Izo. It was built during the late Tokugawa period. Only 92 men surrendered at Benton Fortress. Of those 92, 13 were members of the Shinsengumi. June 27th, Gorikaku, the final stronghold, surrendered as well. The shogunate army's long battle was at last at an end. And Hijikata? It was hard to imagine Hijikata surrendering no matter what the odds might have been. Kazuma was silent for a moment before he answered.
5月11日の総攻撃の日に戦死したらしい。
He died in battle on June 20th.
弁天台場にいる新選組を救出しようとして銃で撃たれたそうだ。
He was shot while trying to rescue the Shinsengumi in Benton Fortress. He's dead? I couldn't believe it. Men like Hijikata didn't die. They couldn't. Kazuma sighed and cast his gaze
気が
around.
すんだが。
Are you satisfied? I honestly had no answer. I didn't know. That was when I saw it. Hidden down in the grass. Battered, discolored flag. The flag representing truth, honor, and integrity. The flag of the Shinsengumi. Tears began to pour from my eyes, hotter and faster than any since my father's death. What had been the point to all this? Had they just come here to die? I wasn't sure if I was sad because of what had happened to my friends, or sad because my days with the Shinsengumi would never be coming back. All I knew was that the tears continued to flow. Kazuma waited patiently for me to finish crying. At last, the tears stopped, and as I wiped them away with the back of my hand, I spoke. What was all this for? This war tore the country in two, but why? What did it accomplish? Kazuma's voice was quiet.
新しい組織が古い体制と組織を一掃する戦だ。権力、名声、金、それらの奪い合いだ。
It has destroyed an old system to make room for a new one, but it was little more than a scramble for power, money, and reputation. But there's more to it than that, right? At least some of the people who fought here were looking for something other than money, or power, or fame. Even though they knew they could never win, the Shinsengumi had kept fighting. They had fought until the end, but for them, victory was ceased to be about defeating the Imperial
そう
Army.
だな。ここは夢にしがみつき、侍を捨てきれなかった奴らがたどり着いたところだ。
That's true. The men who died here refused to abandon their dreams or renounce what they thought a samurai should be. My friends. I clutched the torn flag to my chest.
恩義を忘れることができずに、新しい時代に乗れなかった。乗ることができなかった大バカ野郎どもさ。
They couldn't forget their obligations and move on with the rest of the world. They were just idiots who let time pass them by. They were samurai. It wasn't fair to call them idiots. I felt the tears returning. They chose to let the rest of the world move past them because they couldn't compromise on what they believed in.
だがあいつらは最後まで己の志に従って戦った奴らだ。
You could also say they were bullheaded fools. Throwing your life away is a poor treatment to your beliefs. I said nothing.
そんなバカな奴らは嫌いじゃない。
Still, I don't hate them for it. His voice had turned suddenly soft. When it looked up, his eyes met mine. They were gentle. I felt something well up in my heart. Something I wanted desperately to give voice to, but the words didn't come. A chill breeze blew between us. What are you gonna do now?
俺たち鬼は遥か昔から人と関わらずにひっそりと暮らしてきた。
Demons are used to living in secret and leaving humans to their own devices.
その生
I will
活に
return to
戻る。
that life. There was no doubt to it in his voice.
俺たち鬼は二度と人間と関わる気はない。
Demons will not involve themselves in human affairs again.
人の欲にまみれた戦、世の中に関わるつもりはない。
war fed by human greed. That is not something I wish to be associated with. If a demon were to live as a demon, it would probably be best for them to stay away from humans. For better or worse, they were simply too powerful.
今回の件に関わった俺たちを野放しにするほど奴らもお人よしではない。必ず手を伸ばしてくる。
Humans are not so good-natured that they will leave us alone, however. We involved ourselves in this war, and for that they will pursue us. The Imperial Army had been happy to have the assistance of demons during the war, but now that their power would quickly become a threat to the new government.
その前に西に帰り、姿を消す準備をする。
Before we lose their favor entirely, I intend to disappear. He fixed me with a curious gaze.
お前はどうする？
What will you do? Hokodate was the end of my journey. The Shinsengumi had brought me here, but they were gone. I haven't decided yet. For now, I think I'll stay in Izo a little longer.
自分で考え、自分で決めるがいい。
Make your choice carefully. His tone was gentle, something I never would have imagined when I first met him.
お前も鬼として狙われる立場になるだろう。
They will come after you as well. A demon is a demon, no matter their place in this war.
何かあれば頼ってこい。俺たちなら守ってやることはできる。
You're always welcome to come to us for help. We can protect you. Yes, thank you. He smiled, then turned and began to walk away. I was all alone. The bright summer sky stretched out above me. Gazing up at it, I thought I could almost see the backs of the men I'd known so well, if only for a short time. The Shinsengumi had faced many challenges, but always with their heads high and their hearts strong. Kind and gentle Kondo, stern but sincere Hijikata, Okita, who was brave even in sickness, earnest and faithful Saito, Harada, the man who had always had a kind word for his friends, cheerful Hisuke, who had always given me courage, Nagakura, a man in an indomitable spirit, and Sanin, who would risk everything to continue the fight. This was it. This was farewell. A gentle wind caressed my cheek. Somewhere far away, I could hear their voices. And that's the end of Hakuōki, Stories of the Shinsengumi. Well, one of the endings anyway. I think I got the bad ending, I don't even think I got the normal ending. Basically what happened is I didn't get enough romance points with any of the with the guys, and I ended up getting the generic ending when you don't choose any of the guys is when you hang out with Kazama at the very end of it. But if I remember, you can actually kind of romance him too, and so there's kind of an ending with him as well. But yeah, due to the rolling of my game, I thought I was going to get a specific guy ending, but apparently because of the rolls of the dice, I did not get any specific ending with the guy. So I feel sorry for those of you who wish for me to get maybe a specific ending. Unfortunately, I'm not going to record any other endings in the game. But if you want to know more about what happens to the other characters or their ending with the main character, be free to check it out if you want. I guess that gives the game some replay value for what it is, because you can see the different endings for it. But, I mean, there's not much gameplay, it's just you choosing different decisions. And there's actually replay value at the game, where you can just basically skip through dialogue you've already had, so you can get to the choices you didn't make before, for example, so you could have different endings. Maybe it's because of the choices I made in the game, but it seems like almost like the main character is more like has a Mad Max syndrome, where they don't even actually affect the story. They're more supposed to be like a bystander to watch what's going on. I don't know, maybe it depends on what choice with what guy you get. Maybe you get a bit more about her personality. I felt like she just kept getting relegated back to do nothing status, so that the other characters would do something. I don't know. The story was okay. Like I said, I wish there was a bit more to it. I don't know. I felt like it was too sporadic, in terms of the plot, where they were going with it, to really have an idea of where it was going. I mean, it didn't explain everything, but I felt there was too many jumps in the story. And like I said, it probably depended on my choices of the roll of the die. But yeah, because of that, I got the bad ending, or at least the okay ending. But yeah, now that the game saves itself, it saves the data, and the ending I got an achievement for it. And like I said, you can go back in and replay the game again. There is another option in the game called stories. I have no idea what that means. That might be replaying the game with like a different element to it or something like that. But that's pretty much it for the game. That was Hakuōki, Stories of the Shinsengumi. I guess I should... I know the credits have already ended, but I guess I should... Oh, I guess I could show you the record of service type of thing at the very end. It tells you, like, what you played through, and then this is the... After Chapter 3, depending on your choices, you'll have the different endings that focus on specific characters that you'd romance through the game. There's the Hijikata one, there's the Okuta one, Saito, Hisuke, and Harada also have stories, and then the Shikage Kazama. I guess because I didn't choose maybe the right options, there's no official unlock for the Chapter 6, even though there was that. But like I said, I think that you have to like basically believe in Kazama during his to get kind of a moderation to his ending, for example. But yeah, actually one character I was kind of surprised that didn't have an ending was Hakamura or whatever, the strong dude. I thought he was going to be one of the choices of the dudes, but apparently not. But that's pretty much it. The music was set for the right piece, I thought. Sound effects were good. If I turned them up loud, you could have heard them. But the music did set the pace of the game. There's also like gallery sets and stuff like that. You can see about what you unlock during the game. You can tell I didn't do any choices with Harada. There's like no unlocks for him at all. And then theater, you can unlock movies. Here's the normal ending. Is it just the same credits ending? Oh, so I didn't even get the bad ending. I just got the regular ending. So because I don't choose any of the characters or anything like that. Interesting. But yeah, that's trying to think. Graphically, all the characters looked good for what they were. I mean, there's not much else I can say because there isn't much to the graphics. I mean, it's all about just pictures that you have, you know, visual novel. Would I keep this game? I don't think the story was... It's the same with Ghost Hunters. I didn't think the story was interesting enough to really play through it again. Or I'd love to play through it again. But that's the same with a lot of visual novels. Some are just really interesting and some aren't. And that's just kind of how it is. So, unless you're really into like knowing the endings to the other characters, I would just send the game back and go on to something else. Visual novels are definitely a hit or miss type of game, if you want to call it a game, because of their setting. You know, I'd almost rather read a book personally, but that's just me. But I guess we'll call that the end. The Hakuōki, Stories of the Shinsengumi. Thanks for watching me, folks. It was interesting trying to do all those different voices for all those different characters, but I failed at a lot of respects. And besides, I'm not a voice actor anyway, so thanks for watching me play through this visual game. I may or may not play another one in the future. I hope not, because they're kind of a strain on my voice. But we'll find out next time when the mail comes in. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.